Stacy and I met at the Grove, which was a drive-in restaurant. I was sitting in the back of the pickup playing my banjo, and he came up with his guitar, and we met. The next day I saw him on the street down by the sports center, and he had 12 tubes of glue and no models. And he said, "Hey man, you want to go sniff some glue?" I said, "No, I don't think I'm going to pass on that." And then the next day, the sports shop proprietor told the police about Stacy's buying so much glue and not buying any models. And so Stacy got wind of it and asked me if I turned him into the law first, which was ridiculous. Then we went down to Port Aransas and we got with Tommy at Hall. He had some Acapulco Gold and some Romalar cough medicine. He gave each of us a bottle of Romalar cough medicine and said, "Drink the whole thing." And wow, that was a terrible trip. And then we were smoking some Acapulco Gold on the beach there in Port Aransas when the Corpus Christi cops came up on us, and Clementine jumped out of the car and saved the day. She said, "Officer, we're a family and we camped here. What's the problem?" Stacy and I were just completely wigged out. We couldn't have talked to any law officers at all at that point. We were buzzing on Romalar and Acapulco Gold. And a little while after that, Tommy took his van down to Del Rio and smuggled 26 pounds of weed across in a duffel bag with some clothes and some children's toys in obvious sight. They didn't even check it because it was an obvious sight, and they let him go, and he smuggled back 26 pounds of weed. Shortly after that, we got busted. He had 2 pounds left. He'd sold all the rest. At the motel where Stacy and I were staying there in Austin, he left a lid of weed in his coat pocket in the motel room, and the maids found it because we went to Kerrville, and he didn't tell me anything about it being there, and so we went to Kerrville for 3 or 4 days, and when we came back, they had all of his clothes in the office, and they'd already turned the weed into the vice squad. So they started following us there and found out where we were, and then we think that Miss Gathings, Johnny Gathings' mother, Johnny drank some Romalar and got kind of weird on her, and so we think that she might have also turned us into the Austin law there, and they busted us shortly thereafter. One night we were coming back from a gig to our motel room there in Austin, and the FBI was there. 2 FBI officers were there. They showed us our identification. They had everybody get in the room, and they were getting ready to start questioning them. And I said, "Hold it, let me call my lawyer." So I called Jack McClellan, and he said, "You tell those cops to either arrest you or leave you alone and get out of there." And I told them that, and they left. I didn't think it would work that way. Anyway, back to the bust in Austin there. Roky was clean. They planted the drugs, and they said they found the drugs in Roky's apartment. He later got off on that on a search warrant misprint. The FBI was looking for Wayne Walker, who was there for a little while staying with Stacy, and they thought we might know where he was. The Swingers, a go-go, where Roky was arrested off stage there in Austin, the DA just told Roky and his record company that if Roky came back to Austin, they would arrest him. No charge. They didn't have any charges on him, but they just said that they would arrest him. So he played the gig, and they arrested him, and the crowd went crazy and pulled the distributor wires out of the cop cars. They had about 8 cop cars come out. Anyway, one more thing back in Port Aransas. We were playing one night, and this guy who looked like Johnny Cash was talking to me, and I was kind of strange. And then one of the security policemen that was a friend of ours said, "You guys better get out of town. That's the head of the State Narcotics Commission." So we left Port Aransas that night, and they searched and busted our house the next day. Wayne Walker was telling me later he was down in Mexico, and a couple of agents were looking for him down there, and they found his house, and he climbed up inside the chimney, and he stayed there as long as he could. They were talking to the girl there that he was staying with. Then all of a sudden, he lost his grip in the chimney and fell down just like Santa Claus. And he said, "Yeah, I was just checking out this chimney." And they said, "Are you Wayne Walker?" And he said, "No, I'm Jack Jackson." He had some IDs saying he was Jack Jackson. They said, "Well, we can get a wire photo of you and compare it to you and arrest you here." And he just gave up at that point. He said, "Yeah, I'm Wayne Walker. Take me on." And when we were busted in Austin there, I was clean. I had no joints on me or anything. The only thing they had on me was a little bit of seeds and stems, which Stacy and Tommy had spilt in the van, and they charged me with possession of marijuana, which they shouldn't have done. It cost me $1,500. I'm not too happy about it, especially now since it's almost legal. Nobody cares about it anymore. This is kind of funny. We were out in California and we were playing a club called the Longshoreman's Hall. It was a big building. And over in one section they had all the longshoremen and they were having a meeting. And we were pretty wild and freaky looking guys. And we went in, got in the wrong door and walked right in the middle of the longshoremen's meeting. They wanted to kill us. We had to run to get out of there with our lives. They really freaked out when they saw us, Roky and Stacy and everybody with beards and goatees and long hair and wild clothes. They hated us. I don't remember if I mentioned this, but while we were out in San Francisco, Cecil, our band boy, took the van to the Fillmore Auditorium and parked in a little old parking lot off the side of the road there. And then he went to the show, and when he came back after the show, all of the equipment except for the amplifiers was gone. Stolen. One time out in San Francisco, Tommy said that he got robbed the other night. He didn't actually get robbed because he didn't have any money, but he was living in the slum area of San Francisco, and the guy comes up to him with a gun and says, "Give me your money." He said, "If I had any money, I wouldn't be living in a place like this." And so he let him go. Just before Roky was sentenced to the state mental hospital, he was up on a hill. This is what I heard now. I don't know how true this is. But he was up on a hill with this kid, and they were smoking some joints, and the cops came up and caught the kid with Roky with 3 joints, and they told him if he would say that that dope belonged to Roky Erickson, that they would let him go free. Typical. I saw them plan him once before, so I don't doubt that they're planning him again on this one. The one that sent him to the mental institution, which eventually sent him to Rusk State Hospital for 3 years. John Howard I believe he was a lawyer that was visiting Rusk, and he knew that Roky was in there on a marijuana charge, and marijuana was not being such a big thing at that time, so he had a sanity trial scheduled for Roky, and Roky was proved to be sane, and he sprung him from Rusk Mental Institution. Then we played some gigs at Mother Earth after that, and Roky's out of Rusk. The DA at the time, I think his name was Bill Smith or Bob White or something like that. He fought very hard to keep Roky in Rusk, but justice prevailed. Roky was proven sane and sprung from Rusk. The district attorney made the statement that if they let Roky out of the mental institution, that he would OD in 3 months. Well, it's been a lot more than 3 months, and he's okay. The Austin Police Department confiscated my van because there were some seeds and stems in the floorboard and used it as a surveillance vehicle. They put curtains in the window and parked in the alleys behind these houses where the marijuana trafficking was going on. We saw the Vice Squad officers in the alleyway the day or 2 days before the bust, and Tommy said, "Oh, don't worry about getting busted. Girding, this head that's on the Vice Squad, will give us a call and say, 'Get cool or we're going to have to bust you.' So don't worry about that." Well, Girding didn't call. And as just about an hour before the police came in to bust us, Stacy and Tommy and Roky dropped some mescaline. So they were peeking on mescaline while they were getting busted. Went down to and Clementine was down there with us, and she was waving at the police camera. We were all hiding our heads and everything. And it was pretty wild.
Kind of started a friendship a long distance. I lived in Houston, he lived in Kerrville, but they were playing in Houston a lot, and eventually as the band progressed, we ended up getting together towards I guess when they were changing and shuffling members, and he wanted me to become a part of the group. So I did, but actually we changed the name of the band, or he changed the name of the band to Ice. And at that point, we had signed a contract with International Artists, the same company they were with, the Elevators, and they sent us to this house on Old Galveston Road. It was sort of a nightmare.
I guess it was.
I mean, really,
from what I've heard.
Yeah, it was sort of a nightmare. They gave us, first of all, they signed us and gave us they gave us $10,000 to go buy a bunch of equipment, of which we spent every penny of it on equipment. Took it out to this house on Old Galveston Road in Houston, outside in Pasadena, where God just, while we're rehearsing for our next album, or the Elevators' next album, or Ice's next album, everything went down from bank robbers to shootouts to everything else you could imagine. You know, I don't know how far you want to carry this thing if you want to get into the gory details. I mean, the music was, was good, for the most part.
Talk about how the Bandidos discovered your house.
Oh yeah, the Bandidos. Stacy was good friends with all the Bandidos. He had this one good buddy, especially Stinky. That's what they called him. I don't really know his name. Stinky. That's what everybody called him. And they were pretty much, I guess, it almost like they lived there at the house because they were there all the time.
Yeah.
There was a few.
I heard there were rigs stuck in the wall.
Oh yeah, listen for. I don't know if too many people want to hear about that. But yeah, there were rigs in the wall.
Well, Joe Nick, this is just.
Yeah, right. I understand.
He can figure out what to put.
But yeah, I can remember one time, especially there was these two brothers. I won't even mention any names. There was two brothers that came in that were good friends with Stacy. They had robbed a bank in Dallas, and they'd come to hang out at the hideout. Which actually, they came over and hid out there for about a week. And in that week, there was a gun battle at the house. I can remember up in our bedrooms, a two-story house, and upstairs, I can remember laying down under the window with a few gunshots coming through the window over above my head, and me finally going down the stairs and escaping out the back into the woods. But I think Stacy hung around. He kind of was into all that stuff. That was his buddies. I mean, there was all kinds of other things that went on there. I mean, from week-long parties. It was very much of a drug den.
I heard one time about somebody told me that they came in and took some drugs and loaded Stacy and everybody up in the patrol car, went down, and they let them out just before they got down to the station.
Oh yeah, I remember that time. And there was another time. It was even actually everybody was 15 people in the apartment. Somebody had come over the morning before that had robbed a drugstore.
Yeah.
And had a shoebox full of pharmaceutical drugs. And there was underage girls and everything else, and they were all there, and everybody was asleep the next morning. And I woke up first, and I walked downstairs, and I got to the front door. I was just going to step out on the front porch, and I put my hand on the doorknob, and the door flew open against me. They'd kicked the door in, where about 9 narcotics officers came in with guns drawn, and they ran around kicking everybody, kicking them, trying to get them up, to wake everybody up. And anyway, they found everything from A to Z. That house, just everything. They took everybody, herded everybody up, took everybody to the station, except for one guy who escaped on the front porch in all the confusion. He took off and ran into the bushes. And I actually had a chance to do that myself. I was out on the front porch and everybody went upstairs and left me out there. But I said, well, maybe they might shoot me in the back. Maybe better hang around. So I hung around. We got down to the police station. And get down there and they're questioning everybody. They're putting everybody in jail. And for some reason, they kind of ignored me. So I went to the phone. I remember there was a phone in the hall, and I went to the phone and I called my lawyer. I had a friend who was a lawyer. And I called him up and told him to come down and find out what's going on. Well, anyway, he came down and they put me in the cell and they got me back out, and I went and talked to this guy, and he says, hey, they were just making a blind. He's actually had a writ of habeas corpus because they didn't know. They just heard there was a bunch of people standing at this vacant house. They didn't even take the time to get a warrant, find out who owned the house. So they let everybody go. We were in jail for about 2 hours, and they let everybody go. Had to let everybody go. Couldn't charge anything. They found everything under the sun. They couldn't charge anybody, so they let everybody go. And back to the house, where eventually in the next 2 months, all that equipment we had bought was all taken back by the record company because we didn't come through with our album. We had been to the studio dozens of times where the whole band was supposed to show up, of which myself and 2 other guys, Bubba Brown and Mike Marshall, the drummer and bass player, who showed up, and we would play, and all we were really recording was basically old folk songs that I had written way back. Because basically that's all we really had together, It was just me on acoustic guitar and drum, and they finally made us listen to it all and said, wait a minute, this won't work. So anyway, they came over and confiscated all the equipment. and sent us all on our way. And that was pretty much the end of that. And we came back to Kerrville actually, and ended up putting another band together, Obie and the Rain Crow. But there's just all kinds of tales. I mean, you could probably go on and on about that house, but they're, all, like I said, it's all nightmares. I mean, I really don't even know what else
Where to start?
Where to start? If somebody wants to question day one to the end, I could give you a description, but how interesting it might be is another thing.
I understood that the police came out there and put a attractive nuisance bulletin on there that said that no girl or no person under 18 was allowed into that house. Did that actually happen?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Cops used to sit across the street and watch. The house, one thing, was traffic day and night. People drove in at all hours in the morning, all day and all night. And you never knew. Actually, in the beginning when I went out there was supposed to be 5 guys living there, all in the band. Mm-hmm. And it ended up there was always 10 to 20 people there, all the time. You could never run anybody off because you never knew who was gonna do what, because it was a pretty crazy scene. And I didn't, at that point, there was about 3 of us out there that I consider that we didn't belong out there, for one thing, because we just weren't as crazy as everybody else, I guess. We were crazy, but I guess we weren't as crazy as the rest. But it actually was pretty scary. It was not a fun time. The only fun thing was the gigs we did. We did play some jobs. We did play Love Street. Down at Love Street Light Circus, I think about twice a week we'd go down there and play. On Sunday nights especially, that was a big jam night down there. And all kinds of people would come in. We jammed, the band with Johnny Winters would come in and he played, the Bubble Puppy, Illinois Speed Press. They were real big at Love Street. And the Grits.
What about the time you and Stacy got crossways with you and came after you with a tire and a broken chair?
Yeah, right. He cornered me in my kitchen one day, because the girl I was dating would not succumb to him.
Yeah,
and so and I turned around and he had a tire iron, and I took a kitchen chair and broke it on him, broke it right in half on him. Actually, Stacy and I were really good friends. We were good friends right up until he was death. I was a pallbearer at his funeral. But we were always good buddies, and musically we were real compatible. I enjoyed playing with him, and he enjoyed playing with me. We just had something magical. He used to tell me, there was one thing Stacy used to tell me. He told his mother this one time, and it was kind of interesting. Or he said that I was one of the few people that he ever could sing with. We had a natural harmony. In other words, when we sang together, it was just harmony. Yeah. Where his voice, my range, and his range. Every song we sang together, every part, we didn't have to try, struggle. It was just there. We just had natural harmony together. Which is why in the beginning, when I met Stacy at a little bitty apartment of another friend of mine, Max Range, or Range. A lot of people, I called him Range. I think it was Rangy actually. He introduced me to this guy, and we played all night, and it was just wonderful. It was great. We had all this natural harmony, and we knew a bunch of the same old tunes that we had done, and that's basically how I became, even involved with them.
Stacy, when he was a teenager, had a girlfriend who was a doctor's daughter, and they were supposedly going steady. Well, she went out with this other guy, and he saw him, ran him off the road, took his .22 rifle out of his pickup truck, and went up there and stuck it in her stomach and says, "If you ever date anybody else, I'll kill you."
He was also famous for "I saw you first." I saw her first.
I swear to God, I saw her first.
I saw her first. Yeah, right. Doesn't matter what she got. I saw her first. So hands off.
Yeah.
But he still was a brother.
Yeah, it's hard to not feel some love for Stacy. He had his bad moments, and usually it was centered around women. He wanted women, and if they didn't want him, he would really get bent out of shape at the person that they did want, like Max. All these chicks were coming to Max and everything. And
no James Dean.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else. to ask you about.
Well, I can tell you another nightmare story. I mean, Stacy one time with a couple of Bandidos, they had found out where all this, and back onto the drug scene again, but all this pot and everything was at, and they put on all this camouflage stuff and went over with toy guns, with plastic guns. They didn't have any real guns. They took all these plastic weapons and went and broke in to an apartment full of other Bandidos that were asleep at that time on the floor from a night's party, and robbed them with plastic guns. Nobody ever knew. They held them up. They held them up with plastic guns. That's a true story. I didn't actually get. I was there, but I was actually too afraid to go in the apartment, so I stood outside. I was the driver of the car, and they all went into this apartment with plastic guns. And it was still dark, you know, and they went in there and robbed these Bandidos with plastic guns.
How about Bull of the Woods? Were you on any of that stuff there, Paul?
No, I wasn't on any of the. I didn't play on any of the stuff. You know, I was around at that time. Yes, I was around, but I did not do any of the playing. About the only thing I ever contributed to Bull of the Woods was some ideas. I didn't even write any songs, but I was around, especially during one of the between Scarlet and Gold. And Stacy, you know, was pretty much just playing around with this idea. I may have made a couple of suggestions, but I actually had nothing to do with the writings or the playing. Which the album, I have listened to the album recently. In fact, the past 6 months, I sat down one time with another buddy of mine here in Kerrville, Kelton Morris, and we listened to the whole album. And I thought to myself, I said, you know what, this album was really full of good songs. It really was. I thought it was poorly produced.
Yeah.
But if that album, to me, if it would have been really well produced, that would have been a great album. I mean, musically, lyrically, it was great. That's some good, you know. Really,
that was pretty much Stacy's album.
Yeah, right. That was pretty much Stacy's album. And I thought that was really incredible. You know, some artwork that just wasn't painted clearly. That's all. Just wasn't painted clearly. Because if it would have been painted clearly, that probably would have been a very huge success, you know.
Yeah. I noticed Stacy doesn't have a real strong voice to begin with, but I noticed they had him kind of in the background,
right,
and the music up front, you know, which
yeah,
not the way it's supposed to be.
No, it was, like I said, it wasn't a very well produced album.
Who produced that album? Do you remember?
No, not really. I don't even remember. I'm sure it's probably had to be. You know, I do know who. I think it was Ray Rush.
Yeah, I believe he was on it.
Yeah, I think that's who it was. Ray
it was
Rush.
Frank Davis, at least everywhere.
Yeah, I think it was Ray Rush because.
Oh, we can find out.
Yeah, I think he had something to do with it.
This is a English version. They, you know, some decals. Charlie Records Limited.
Yeah, produced by Ray Rush.
Yeah,
That's who it was. Engineers, Fred Carroll, Hank Goodwin, Jim Duff. That's right. Bull of the Woods. I don't know if that's a Stacy concept, which I'm sure it was. Bull of the Woods. I think that's great. Who did the cover of that album?
it's probably.
Did you know him?
No, I never met him.
That's a good album. I know that. So you never went to you were.
I didn't know about the Galveston House.
Didn't know about the Galveston.
They were at Robert Eggers' ranch, and Ronnie and I thought, well, let's don't spend the rest of our time with this band worrying about getting busted. Let's just quit, because they're not going to quit, and they're going to continue to stash stuff in my car.
Right.
And they didn't have a car, and they'd always stash their dope under the dash of my car, you know.
I remember when Stacy contacted me about playing, he had told me they were going to make a few changes, and one of them being that they weren't sure that Ronnie Leatherman, they had this other bass player in mind, Mike Marshall, and but they liked Ronnie, they liked him a lot, and they wanted him to play, but when it came right down to it, they on that particular move, it was Mike Marshall was the chosen.
Oh, did he play on Bull of the Woods, son?
No, Mike did not play on the album. He didn't play on any of the albums. In fact, Mike was like me. He was one of my buddies, and 3 months later, when they took all the equipment, he actually went to work with Willie Nelson. He played with Willie after that for 2 years. Something good of it, something just good came from just being around the scene, because he met somebody at International Artists who turned him on to Willie, saying that Willie needed a bass player.
Yeah.
And course, that was back when Willie was playing three-piece. This was back in the old days when
Yeah.
Willie really was not a big thing yet. Very strange times.
Well, if we get any response, we can
Yeah.
talk about it. You can actually sit down and think of everything that, we'll sit down with Joe Mike.
Well, somebody can direct which direction they want to go, what they want to hear about, how they want to bring it up from the beginning to the end. It would be real easy to put in place. I think when I came along, the group had already been through. God had been through about three other. Let's see, there was Benny Thurman, which I was first bass player.
Yeah.
Then Ronnie Leatherman, Danny Galindo.
Yeah.
And drummers, it went from you and Danny Thomas, and I think there was another one too. Well, Bubba Brown, who was the drummer when I was in that era, and they had other people to replace Roky, from Pete Black to James, whatever his last name.
Yeah.
I don't know. Both group, they were from a group called the Misfits. One of those evolving things. Revolving.
Yeah. Now, one time we went down to the Living Eye, I think, or Catacombs. I'm not sure which club it was, but Stacy had been caught with some supposedly marijuana up in Kerrville, and they ran a test on it. They had to send it to Austin to get it tested to see what it was, and they charged him with marijuana. So just as we were getting ready to play our gig there at the Living Eye, they come up and arrest Stacy off stage. And they did that to Roky at the Swingers of Go-Go. That's just a little tidbit I thought I'd throw in. It did ruin the show. We didn't play.
There was another gig I remember now. Austin, we played a gig. This is before, actually, we changed the band to Ice. Right in that period we did, I forgot, there was a gig we played at the Jade Room.
Uh-huh.
That turned out to be a real strange gig because we got up on stage, and actually Roky showed up and played. But Roky, about the first or second song, turned around to his amp and just started looking at his amp and turned his guitar. It was just feedback like crazy. He set it down and walked out the front door and never came back. That was pretty much one of the first gigs that I did was at the Jade Room. And we were, at that point, the band was still called 134 Elevator. And Roky was not in that band, but yet he played that job with us. But he only lasted one song.
Yeah. We got out in California one time, Roky drew a blank and forgot all the words to all the songs, and we couldn't do anything with him, so we just jammed.
And did that go over?
Well, I guess so. It was at the Avalon, and everybody was stoned.
So y'all made it through the gig.
We played a 45-minute jam.
Yeah. A 45-minute jam.
We didn't do the second set.
And you didn't do the second set.
No, we passed on that. We were out there, so we jammed and got it, kind of going as best we could.
I heard he wasn't really a bass player. He just
No.
kind of.
Benny was a violin player, and he told us he used to play bass for the Deeds. And when we got down there, he didn't even know what notes to tune the bass strings to. And I worked with him a little bit. Stacy worked with him. We got him along. For somebody, he picked it up quick.
Well, he was a good musician.
He was a great musician.
I heard he was like first or second chair in the Austin Symphony.
For one thing, he could
violin.
play. He could play that fiddle.
Well, and he played the bass. Actually, didn't he play bass on the first album?
Yeah, he played bass on the live album.
Did he play bass on?
See, the live album was our first album.
Right, but I mean like the You're Gonna
Miss Me. He's on You're Gonna Miss Me.
He played that. So.
Yeah, he did.
But I thought that was real. Here's a guy that didn't really play, yet he came in, conned his way in, and he turned out to be pretty good.
Tommy and Roky came to us and said, we got to get rid of Benny because he's shooting speed with Tim Jones. And I thought, we decided to stay with Roky and Tommy, because that was happening. I don't know if it was true or not.
Well, anyway, y'all got Ronnie Leatherman.
We got Ronnie.
Yeah, can't beat that guy. He's just excellent.
I've never worked with a smoother bass player. He was solid.
Yeah, and he still is.
Still doing it. Yeah. I'm going to get Ronnie over here and get him to talk about Will of the Woods days.
Yeah.
And that'll catch up the whole plan, because...
I think Danny Galindo was the bass player on Will of the Woods. I'm almost positive he was. Well,
some Ronnie and some Danny, I believe, was the way it
right.
was. They finally paid Ronnie $25 an hour to record.
Right, and because Danny Galindo was a speed monster.
Yes, sir.
And he was making it in his apartment. I remember when Stacy took me to his apartment one time, coming from Kerrville. We were heading for Houston, and we stopped by Danny Galindo's place. And I remember the smell, boy. Man, we got up. It was an upstairs apartment, boy. As soon as we started up those stairs, you could smell the stench, boy. Open that door, and it was just God, another nightmare.
Yeah.
Seems like pretty much that's all. I mean, all I got to see was a lot of nightmare, you know. Because like I said, I came along at the end, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty much at the very end of it. Even though I was around a lot at the beginning, because of I'd met Stacy, you know, and him and I had become buddies, and we jammed a lot even back, you know, back when y'all were, I guess when y'all were new in Houston, playing at the La Maison.
Yeah.
The La Maison, what a great club. That was I liked that club.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it. It was in the church in the beginning, in church at McGowan and Bagby in Houston. And I could, you know, you said you didn't ever play there.
No, I don't recall it.
Yeah, y'all. You said you played when they moved over to the supermarket over on Richmond Street. Did you ever play Love Street?
Not with the Elevators. No, I did with Shiva's Headband.
And I think maybe that band, the Elevators, when I joined, that was when we played at Love Street. We were playing Love Street then. Allen's Landing. Well, that was a scene. That was a happening. All I know is the Elevators could have been, and were, not only could have they been, but they could have been one of the long-reigning rock bands of the, you know, of the century. You know, if they hung in there and got it right, you know, from the beginning and stayed there. Roky was phenomenal. He was like a, you know, he was like a Buddy Holly. Or,
yeah.
You know, I was kind of honored just even to be asked, you know, even to be a part of a thing that was, you know, really a happening thing there. You know, I just wish it would have continued to happen.
Yeah, it was just too much drug taking and
drugs destroyed the band.
They did. Bad acid out in California, Rocky, they were doing
speed.
They were doing
heroin
with speed balls and
drugs.
Stacy was heavy in any kind of drug.
Yeah, whatever you'd offer him. You know, nutmeg, banana peels,
oregano.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Morning Glory seeds. He dropped a bunch of Morning Glory seeds. His mother came in and she just read it in this magazine how kids were turning on the Morning Glory seeds, and she went in and there was packs and packs of Morning Glory seeds on the floor, and the guys were knocked out. I remember the time when Owen Farenthal and Stacy were being narcotics officers down in San Antonio, and some of the people they were associated with down there that they were trying to bust, they gave them a hot shot. They had to go to the hospital and get their blood drained and new blood put in, or they would have died. And but just Stacy the way Stacy got killed was his wife shot him with a .22 long rifle in the stomach, and he bled to death. They were having an argument, and he handed her the gun and said, "Here, shoot me," and she shot him.
I've talked to you in probably at least 25 years.
I know, 25 or 30. Well, that's great. I'm glad y'all are having a little party there. I kind of wish I'd be there, but...
Yeah, well, I know how that goes. You know, those cheap flights, I almost felt like sending you a couple $100 and sending you out here. Hey, you played on some songs that Powell wrote, like, didn't you play on The Kingdom of Heaven?
Yeah, all that first album is mine, Jack. Let me tell you what I played on.
All right.
I played on all the first album.
Yeah.
She Lives in Levitation on the East Everywhere album.
Yeah, and what else? On the live album in Bull of the Woods?
Nothing on Bull of the Woods, but about 6 or 7 songs on that live album I think I was playing on. I haven't really heard it, but I understand that it's just some of our earlier stuff, some of the very first stuff we ever recorded.
Yeah, so you guys, what'd you do? Drive in from San Francisco and go right to the studio in Texas?
On that first album we did, I mean, we'd been on the road for 2 days, and they made us go to the studio at 3 o'clock in the morning and start cutting.
And I still can't believe the album you guys came out with.
Jack, let me tell you this.
Okay.
The pictures which Bill Mertz gave me many, many years ago, Doug Hanners has them, and he's sending them over to me, and I'm going to get some 8x10 copies made, and I'll send you some. I might even be able to get you a set of negatives so you can use this stuff in your books.
That'd be great, because I'm working on Rocky 4, you know. I think I'm going to call this one Rocky and His Friends, you know.
Uh-huh.
But Anyway, have you seen Ronnie lately?
Well, yeah, kind of lately.
Yeah? Well, you tell him we said hello too, okay?
Okay.
And thanks for calling, bud.
Sure, I'm sorry. I'm glad I wasn't too late, man. It just slipped my mind.
Well, you did good. We're still partying.
Okay, man, I'm glad y'all are having a good time.
Hey, John, this is Dwayne from Rocky's band Aliens. He's a guitarist. He wants to say hello to you.
Okay.
Hello, John.
Well, hello there, Dwayne.
I was just talking to a pal here
Yeah.
about how much I liked your guys' records back then in the old days.
Uh-huh.
That 13th floor elevator record, especially your first one, man, that left a lasting impression on me.
You know, I like the first one best, too.
It's just killer. That's one for the history books, man.
Well, I appreciate that, Dwayne, and
Yeah.
y'all have a good party. I haven't been to Austin in a long time. Today I'm going to just go over there and try to track everybody down.
Well, some of them are there and some of them are still there and not there, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean exactly. Sometimes I'm not there. I was over here, but I'm not there.
John Ike?
Yes, Jack.
Hey, thanks a lot again for calling, bud. I really appreciate it.
Oh, listen, I'm glad I caught him. I was so glad to talk to Pal. I hadn't talked to him in so many years.
Cool, man. Did you drive to San Antonio today?
No, see, I called me about this gig,
Uh-huh.
so I just been resting up for it because it starts at 7 o'clock
Yeah.
and it goes until about 12:30.
What time is it there? 6:10, huh?
Yeah, it's 6:10 here.
Oh, well, you're doing good. Hey, anyway, we're going to let you go for now. Thanks again, bud.
No problem, Jack. I'll see you in a blue moon.
You will, John.
Bye.
Thanks, man. Did you do some more research?
Well, it's just like I got the whole fundamental, let's say, design source,
Right.
what drives the whole thing, and what it's like an existential state.
Yes.
See that if the whole thing frames around it because it's doing that.
Right.
And
Well, you're doing this all by memory, right?
yeah, but you get better and better at it.
Uh-huh. Because we were wondering when you were going to have an article to submit to Omni or your book.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to do. It just takes so long because it's so big. The things are big and it's hard to...
Takes a lot of research, right?
Yeah,
And that means like trial and error, right?
yeah.
So what you're doing...
There's different variations, right?
Right.
Because things can be doing different things, and so you have to run those out, and then you have to... It's not really big. I mean, the thing is, when you get the ideas, they're big and stuff, but like once you memorize or like it's like you're only working with a small little system from where the thing started to where it is now.
Right.
But like there's just something about the ideas being big that you can't see them until you fall into them or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, what are you doing? Is your research like kind of a continuation of the quest that you started a long time ago? And
Yeah, well, when we took back in the 60s, the idea was to be able to make understandings about the existence. And, most people weren't into that. I mean, that they hadn't flashed on that. It was just a recreational thing.
well, when did you get into all the pyramids and the third eye and all that kind of stuff? I mean,
Well, that was right away with the band.
yeah.
Right, I mean, that was like, to have a logo and all those kind of things, man, they just fell into place and everything.
Right. So anyway, it sounds like you're still continuing the quest that you started like over 25 years ago, and your research
Yeah.
is like an ongoing.
Yeah, I know, it seems kind of strange. It's just such a giant form and stuff that the thing is. See, and when you do this, what you're forgetting is every time you get an idea, it clicks synapses inside your head.
It's snapping the synapses, right?
Well, it's like it lets energy flow then.
Yeah. Hey, how are you feeling today?
Cool, like I have, you got the sleep thing and stuff, but I feel good because this thing is finally, I mean, I can see the whole thing now, and so I'm a little excited about it.
Well, what is it?
You know.
What is it?
I can't explain that, man, because it's like I'm saying, it's a proprietary information.
And it's pure information, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna write about. See, and like I don't know how much of it I'm gonna be able to use and stuff, because of this type of thing you want to use as little as you can, because there's all this stuff that comes off of this. You got.
Well, let me ask you this:
material science, right? If we can we take this and go into material so we can design matter in different ways and stuff, and it's.
When are we gonna see some results of your work?
Very soon. It should be. Like, I should be able to finish this up in a month or two, and so it'll be out probably at the last of the year.
Do you need a typewriter?
No, I don't. Like I use a word
processor. Are you going to talk any of this into a like a microphone and then transcribe it, or?
I use a computer and just, you know, like I could rent one and you just on a disc, you know.
Well, when you're ready to do that, you let me know, and I'll see if I can help you get a computer and a monitor and all that kind of stuff.
No, it's all right, man. I mean, like, it didn't cost that much. It's like $5 an hour.
Yeah, but the thing is, we're just excited about getting this stuff. You know, we're like anxious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know. But anyway, well, Tommy, it's so good to talk to you. Thanks for.
Well, it's great. And tell Powell hi.
He's right here. Hold on a second.
Good to hear from you, Tommy.
Yeah, you're cool, man. I wish I could have been there, you know. Like, let me see. Why don't you leave your address with him? Are you in Oakland?
No, I'm in Berkeley.
Oh, well, you're in Berkeley. All right, so I'll leave your address with him, and I'll come over and visit and stuff, all right?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, it'd be really great.
Okay, I'll help you guys getting linked up and all that kind of stuff. We'll just go from there. Well, Tommy, thanks again for taking our call, bud.
Oh, that's great, man.
Okay, I'll probably be in the city in the next week or two. I'll stop by and see you, and I'll bring you that magazine with your interview in it.
All right, cool. That's fine.
Okay, well, you have a good evening then, all right?
All right, same.
Take care out there.
All right, bye-bye.
We'll talk to you later. Thanks, man. That worked out good.
How would you describe your music to someone who had never heard anything other than what we just played to them just now?
Grave robbing.
Grave robbing?
Grave robbing music.
Is it
Gray
rock?
and Toddy music. Gray and Toddy. There's an old story called The Invasion of the Bodies. The Body Snatchers, and it's about these two people, Gray and Toddy, who go around robbing bodies so much that finally one of the bodies gets up in back of the cart and strangles both of them to death.
But is it rock and roll?
Why is it rock and roll?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, is it rock and roll as well as grave robbing?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a smart statement, isn't it? It's smart to be able to think that.
There was
Nothing to be scared of, though.
Yeah, there was a band you were real famous with back in the 60s. I wanted to ask you a question about that. They were the 13th Floor Elevators, and they were real famous around Houston, Austin, San Francisco. You don't do any of their songs anymore. Why is that?
Well, I just don't. I just, I go over them with a fine-tooth comb.
Uh-huh.
And I find the best parts, and then I treasure them.
Uh-huh.
That's it. I have to do that. Go over it with a fine-tooth comb.
So you're just trying to...
I lick the pages and interpret, turn to a certain place in the interpreter, in the book. It's in the book. It's off the hook.
What is the interpreter?
The interpreter is have you ever seen a guy who's in democracy? When he's turning the pages of a book, he might lick his thumb and turn to a certain place and start reading democracy to a group of people. That's what the interpreter is.
And that's
that idea. That's what the interpreter is. You turn to a page, we mark our places with bookmarkers to measure what we lost. What we would have lost. Would he burn like the devil? What we would have lost. See, would he burn like the devil? What we would have lost. We mark our pages with bookmarkers to measure what I'm trying to say, what we would have lost.
Okay, I guess I don't
Simon
quite understand what we would
to
have...
a finer point, to a finer T.
Yeah, you do a Simon and Garfunkel song every once in a while in concert. Which one
is it?
I was going to ask you that.
I mean, Homeward Bound?
Yeah, I think
I've never
so.
done it in concert, but I might sometime. That's a good thought.
What do you think about doing other people's songs?
I like it. I'd like to do Try Me by James Brown.
That's
Rock
James
and roll
Brown
style, with the beautiful unchained melody. melody, unchanged melody, then do it. James Brown, Try Me, to that Try Me.
You ever thought about?
Try me, darling, tell me, I need you. Hold me, you know, like that, but do it with an unchanged melody, slowness to it. So you get the three parts, rock and roll, except it's jive. James Brown is jive, and you take his jive and you put it to rock and roll, and you put it to unchanged melody rock and roll, the slow melody, and boy, you have a knockout rock and roll James Brown package, you know.
You ever thought about doing any Van Morrison songs?
Well, I sure like Van Morrison, and I think I'd have to really think about it because it'd be special to me.
Yeah, who do you think is really good right now that's still playing?
Well, there's a lot of people I like, but I don't know their names. A lot of songs I like a lot, but I don't know their names.
Which songs are those?
Del Shannon's got a new one, The Sea of Love, I like a lot.
Yeah.
I like that.
So just things you've heard on the radio?
Yeah, I listen to the radio a lot.
What type of songs?
Do I like?
Yeah.
Well, let me see. Roy Orbison songs. I like Roy Orbison a lot. I like a lot. I don't know what, I get my tongue tangled here. Now I like Simon and Garfunkel a whole lot. James Brown and the Famous Flames. And Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Ginger Baker. And let me see. Let me see. Tommy Bolin.
Some of those really classic groups then.
Yeah.
One of the things I guess I wanted to do is just sort of go through a list of the singles and albums you've come out with in the 70s and just get general comments on each of those. The first one you came out with was one, I think, was that on your own label that Doug Somm produced?
That Mars record?
Yeah.
The reason I like that is because it gets all those musicians. I got them all to stand around like they were standing around in a circle jamming to each other, and they played Two-Headed Dog and Starry Eyes, and it's really great because they're jamming around each other in a circle, and it's really wild.
Are you going to re-record Starry Eyes sometime?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Because that was sort of interesting. That sounded like it was more of a rehearsal tape. Because it's sort of rough-edged, it isn't.
Yeah, but see, a lot of people really like that, and they play it a lot. I mean, you know, like I was listening to the radio one time, and a guy played it just out of nowhere. And what it is, it's way ahead of its time. If I had a chance to sit down and play it for you and point out the parts to you, then you'd like it. I mean, not then.
No, I do like it.
Not then you'd like it, but then you could understand better what we're trying to say. You know?
Okay. Are you ahead of your time?
I try to be all the time.
Okay. I guess the next one was Bermuda, and is it The Interpreter on the other side of that? The one on Rhino?
Yes, right.
The
Interpreter is real nice.
Yeah.
It goes and comes back to you, The Interpreter does, because it's a Russian song. And so Russia only allows so much to be released. So it goes out and comes back like a yo-yo or something, I don't know. That's kind of a strange thought I've had about it. But I don't stop The Interpreter from going. The Interpreter is another You're Gonna Miss Me to me.
Yeah,
all my
I think it's real good.
Are You're Gonna Miss Me to me.
That's your most famous song.
You're Gonna Miss Me?
Yeah,
a
Beyond
lot of people say.
Doubt.
I think so. Like when I say, like if I would say, you're my favorite friend, what I would mean is that's another way of saying that all these people here are my favorite friend, but if I was to use that term, that's what it'd come out as.
Right.
It's real hard to explain.
Yeah, I see what you mean. There's nothing that's more favorite.
Mind.
There's nothing that's more favorite than any other.
Right.
So, was that the only Elevators tune you wrote? Is You're Gonna Miss? Actually, you wrote that before the Elevators.
Well,
you wrote
You're
that
Gonna
with
Miss Me and Splash One, and Clementine Hall wrote Splash One. See, Pal St. John has this record out called Right Track Now.
Is that a new one?
It's one that he wrote a long time ago, but luckily all the feeling he had put into it stayed in it, and nobody got to it because of that reason. So I'd like to record it someday. And Clementine wrote something called I Had to Tell You.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Clementine wrote some words to Splash One because I got too close to it. And these songs are real nice. They could, I think they deserve to be recorded again.
Do you think you'll do that, or do you think other people will do that?
I might do it. Yeah, I can't really say might or maybe right now because might isn't really the word for it. But I would like to record those songs. I'd like to record Right Track Now and those two songs again. I think they're that good. I know they are. They keep coming to my mind, you know.
Yeah.
I can't get what I'm trying to say across, you know. It's just my world is not bringing out those songs as I think they should be looked at. But there's 3 songs there that are real good. See, Pal St. John wrote "Living on Monkey Island."
Uh-huh.
He wrote "Take That Girl."
Right.
And "You Don't Know How Young You Are." And all those songs, they just stay in their place, so they'd be interesting to be recorded, I think. You know, if they could be recorded again.
What do you think about that last one? You Don't Know.
You Don't Know How Young You Are?
Uh-huh.
I like it.
Yeah, that's one of my
like
favorites.
It, yeah.
Of that group. What exactly does that say to you? Does that say anything?
You don't know how young you are? Well, I'm real funny. You know, like when I write my words, you know,
Uh-huh.
I write it like a demon. See, Jesus says, "Forgive them, Father." Father is father of the black arts. I'm the father he talks about when he says, "Forgive them, the giant ants." In other words, does he still steal? When I write, I don't know what I think about people having written things before me that seem like the same thing. It's just a funny thing I should bring that up, you know,
Yeah.
because if I wrote something like Openers, have you seen the book Openers?
Yeah, I have.
Openers, and at the end say, "I mind that thought." It's just something I haven't gotten into that much. I guess I could think of it more as a Russian working on his lyrics, and it would be rude to steal all the time, you know, when you're working with someone, but you know, that's just a thought.
Do you write the music first?
It's more of a parody, or more. It's demonism. It's Christ can only understand it. Jesus can only understand what I'm trying to say. You know, when I do things, when I build mountains, you know, that you're not supposed to be afraid of. I look at my writing, you know, as a horror movie. You know, like
Right.
You're not afraid to watch something that horrifies you. You know, you like to watch things that horrify you. You know, Alfred Hitchcock. You know.
Yeah, The Birds.
Right,
That's a good
The
one.
Birds.
That's one of my favorites. So, do you write the music at the same time, or just?
Different feelings for different songs. Sometimes it's first, and the other one's first. Sometimes the other one's first, and the other one's first.
Uh-huh. So let's say after that, I guess you got, after the Bermuda single, you got more of a steady band together. And then I guess the first thing after that was the album that was recorded for CBS. How'd that come about?
With the first album,
Uh-huh.
well, they asked me to go in the studio and do some tapes for them.
Uh-huh.
So I went into the studio and did some tapes for them.
Uh-huh.
And then they took their favorites and put them on. That's the way I think things should always be. Just let CBS take their favorites.
Right.
You
How
know,
many
that's
did you
the way-
record?
That's the only way to do it, because if you can't have friendship like that, you know.
How many did you record at that time?
Oh, I don't know. I guess probably around 14, I guess.
And so some of those came out on the 415 album.
Yes, right. That's right.
Okay. How many of
I'm
those?
fixing to go back in the studio again January to record another album with Bird for CBS.
Uh-huh.
Bird is my lead guitar player.
I see. What Buddy Holly songs do you like?
Oh, let me see. True Love Ways.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And, let me see. Oh, Every Day, Peggy Sue, Maybe Baby.
Yeah, I like that
You're the
one.
One. Have you ever heard that one called You're the One?
I'm not sure I have.
You're the one that's been causing my blues. You're the one that I couldn't stand to lose. You're the one that I'd always choose. You're the one that was meant for me.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
great.
Yeah, I like that one. Are you ever going to do one that I think we mentioned last time we did this last interview and never said much about is May the Circle Remain Unbroken.
Oh,
That's one I've
yes.
just started listening to again. And
Uh-huh.
and that's a nice, scary
which
one.
album?
That's, I guess, it came out as an Elevator single.
Right.
And came across that as the lyric. I guess the lyrics to it extended somewhat in the book you wrote called
Right,
Openers.
right. Well, that's good. I'm glad you've seen the one in the book.
Yeah. So you're going to do any of the things from that book, or?
Yeah, you know, that's real strange because all these questions you're asking me are real psychic because I've been thinking about that real seriously. You know,
Uh-huh.
there's no way I can pass them by. You know.
Yeah. Well, they're really interesting. They sort of stand out. As I was reading that, I sort of realized that they read a lot better as song lyrics. So I was just making up some music as I was going along.
Well,
They really,
did you know I wrote that in prison,
yeah,
and would spend all my time, me and a lot of the boys would get together and they'd just have so much fun singing my songs, you know. And we'd sit around and sing them all day.
yeah. I've read up on some of the interviews, you know, that were done, and just said that was one of the things you'd like to do, and of course came out with that book after that. I just never really figured out exactly how that fit in with everything else.
What's that? The book?
The book.
Well, because when you're in prison, you become very strict with your mind. You have to you have to be yourself more than ever now than ever before. You know, you've heard the old. Well, I always like to say, "Be yourself," you know, or you know, I have little sayings like "Love thyself as you do your friends," you know, and or "Trust thyself as you do your friends." Well, be yourself. You know, it's like I became real strict as to who I was, and I had to get across who I was immediately so I could get out of that crazy place.
Right. I'm sure that was just a terrible experience too. So, let's see. There was something I was going to ask you from last time too, and that was we got started talking about the lyrics of one of the Elevator songs. And I think it was "You Don't Know How Young You Are." And then we didn't talk about it. We sort of talked.
We talked around it or something like that.
Well, we talked sort of nearby it or something like that.
Well, Pal St. John is the guy who wrote that.
Right.
And that guy is just incredible with words. He wrote a song. He wrote this one song that I told you about last time. It's called "The Right Track Now." And it's a real Dylan-esque, Bob Dylan type song, and it's the words in it are really incredible. It's about this girl that apparently he's lost, and he's writing her to say that he's on the right track now if she'll come back to him, you know, now. And it's real nice like that.
Is he still writing songs?
I don't know. He was in what group was he in?
He was in Mother Earth,
yeah, Mother Earth,
and then went on and did something else, but I'm not sure what.
But we used to jam a lot with him. The Elevators used to jam a lot with Pal St. John. He'd play harmonica, and we really gotten some really way out jam sessions with Pal St. John.
I guess there were a lot of jam sessions with various groups going on too. A little bit more than.
Well, that was the thing. You know, the thing was to have to have your say you had the Conqueroo,
right?
And see. In Texas, say you had the Conqueroo and the Elevators. Well, after each band had done its set, we'd get together and it, you know, I mean, don't even think about what would have happened if this hadn't happened. But you had to jam.
Right.
I mean, if you didn't jam, boy, you were, you know, people would have raised some hell, you know. and like in it was the same way in San Francisco. You know, it always ended in a jam, you know, no matter who was playing there. That was the thing of the day.
What do you think the feeling is it's not there now where people don't do that as much? It's like go to one concert and one group or maybe two groups play.
Well,
it's more closed in.
I think that you could look at one particular action from say people and you would look at it like that would bring down the whole situation. That would put down the whole situation, and it would make you be down on something. In other words, I think people want to live faster, want to live everything they have lived in the past, but they want to live it faster. They want to do it now,
right.
And that's punk to me. Punk is the art of cramming rock and roll into 1 second where it'd take an hour before.
Right.
See, and you can look at one isolated event, and it can cause you to miss out. Well, I really mean miss out. Say, you know, because say somebody is rude, you know. Well, then you more than quote miss out on what's being done. Right. You know, it's like if you know, if there was a rock and roll band playing back in the Avalon days, and all of a sudden an Army recruiter got on stage and started barking out over loudspeaker, join the army. Well, you couldn't very well hear what was going on.
Yeah. So, would you consider yourself more rock and roll or more punk?
Both. I've been called the first original punk rocker.
Right. That's what I was asking.
And the things that I collect that people say of me, I collect them. When they things like Legend and things like that. Are the first original punk rocker. But see, I look at it like it's real hard. See, it's like music is going to make the point. See, music to me is as far as rock and roll and punk, they're like stating a position that you can't. It's hard to say what it is, because if you say rock and roll, if you say punk is not rock and roll, well, that's wrong. And then if you say that punk is if you say that punk isn't a form of rock and roll, that's wrong. You understand what I'm saying? It's
right.
real. So it's like it's giving you senses. It's putting out senses, like different senses of hearing and different senses of smelling and.
So it's like taking one thing and turning it and looking at it from another angle, and there it is.
Right, and it's like the impossible mobile.
No, I don't know
it.
that.
Huh?
Oh, okay, I see.
To balance something like that.
Right.
To balance it, and then, that's what punk and rock and roll when they're put together. You can't.
So you have to think of it as something that's just there.
Yeah.
And you turn it around and look at it, but you can't just say it's just one and then it's just the other.
Right.
Okay, I understand a little more now. So, what? You said you consider yourself a little of both. I guess. Well, yeah. I guess I can see that. And what were the elevators? A little both.
Well, the elevators were their favorite term that they would use when they were asked that question would be hard rock. Not rock and roll, but hard rock.
Right.
They fancied themselves as hard rock musicians.
Well, I think they meant something a little bit different by hard too than a lot of people do now when they talk about heavy metal, because it seems a lot different.
Well, it is a lot different. It is a lot different. Hard rock is more personal.
Right.
When Chuck Berry started rocking and Little Richard started rocking, you were wondering, what is that funky sound? Where does it come from, and how do they get it?
So you think they use too much technology now? Is that why we're not hearing more people like that? They're that good?
Well, I think that they're around, But now, would you say that one more time? Because I like the question. I want to get it right.
I just say that it seems like there's less people doing hard rock like that now, and a lot of people doing more like heavy metal. And it seems like heavy metal to me is a lot of technology, but not a lot of the hard rock. And I'm saying, is that the way it seems to you?
Well, I agree with you. It's really nice to find a disc jockey that feels that way, because a heavy metal to me is nothing but like if you had a robot do it.
Right.
And that's what I thought you were saying.
Notes,
that's
not
really,
the feeling.
really neat that you should say that, because that's the way I feel about it too. That rock and roll is living, and heavy metal is just mechanized.
Right.
See, in other words, here's the reason that I'm down on heavy metal is because see, Jeff Beck. I'm influenced by Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page. Well, and Jimmy Page is influenced by me too. And that's what it said in Cream magazine and our Rolling Stone, and that type of music, see, is rock and roll. See, the Jeff Beck, when he did Happenings 10 years ago today, and he starts doing that bump 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 bump, and it sounds like Hitler's Police,
Yeah.
And when that starts happening, and then he blows up his amplifier and everything, well, that's real, living, personal rock and roll. But whereas heavy metal, just all they do is they mechanize it.
Right.
It doesn't have the smoke and fire and insanity of Jeff Beck and the Yardbirds.
Yeah, the Yardbirds were a great group.
Yeah, that's right.
one of their compilation albums came out, and we play a lot of that. What do we play? We play
Shapes of Things.
We play Shapes of Things and Mr. You're a Better Man Than I. That's a good one.
Oh, yes. That's incredible.
I think that's about their best one.
New York City Blues and things like
Yeah.
that. Well, the Yardbirds they were so much ahead of their time that you can put them on now or any time in the future, and they'll never be old. You know?
Right.
They're just like Muddy Waters and.
Well, the best rock and roll sounds like that as you go back to it. There's one other line I wanted to ask about, which is one that no one here has ever gotten past sort of the surface of, which is in Bloody Hammer. It's the line that goes something like Dr. O'Chain. We've never figured-
Dr. O'Chain?
Dr. O'Chain.
Well, see, it's like there are buildings. It's like or should I say, yeah, I don't mean like a building like the Empire State Building, but say buildings like if you build things, you know, if you build something.
Like it's a structure.
Yeah. So in other words, and so you have a structure, and you're looking at a picture of Boris Karloff with chains around his feet, and he's dressed as Frankenstein. So if you look at it through a demonic building of just a way to see it, then it's Dr. O'Chain.
Okay. I guess I don't quite understand that. I sort of like it, though.
Well, Dr. O'Chain is Boris Karloff.
Oh, I see. He is the doctor.
Yeah, right.
He is the doctor. Okay. Rocky, once again, thanks for doing the interview. I think we got some good things this time. So we'll just end it with that then, and one more song.
Kind of a James Dean interview to me. It wasn't real fakey. It was a real
James Dean.
Real.
James Dean was the real thing, huh?
Yeah, he was, and like he'd do things like he'd come in and his acting. I call it natural acting because he'd come in and take a half gallon of milk and rub it across his forehead. He'd do things that the director didn't tell him to do. He just did on his own. You know?
Right. I've only seen one part of one film of his, and it affected me a lot. I could tell it's something special.
Meet Your Mother?
No, it was shoot. I think it was the last one he did. What was the one where
Giant?
No, it was maybe. Let's see. It was
East
the one.
of Eden?
It must have been East of Eden. Was that the one where his father was a farmer and he was sort of against his father for a while, and then he tried to get back into business with him, and they got into this big business venture with that refrigerated cars? Is that?
I don't know which one that was in. I keep thinking it's Giant, but you said it was.
Well, maybe that's Giant then, because like I say, I just saw.
I never did see Giant, but I saw Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden. Really
those are the two that are supposed to be the most famous. Well, if you do me one more favor, just say that this is Roky Erickson and this is KTRU Houston, then we can have a little tape of it we can play for people.
Okay. This is Roky Erickson and this is KTRU in Houston.
Okay, thanks a lot.